Howdy folks, it's Not Jay from Not Jay Tabletop Gaming, and this video is going to focus on the Imperial Scout Troopers, the ones we saw in the Return of the Jedi, looking out as spotters and guards for the Imperial bunker where the shield generator is found. Going to look at the crew that I put together for them for Fistful of Lead Galactic Heroes, the scenario I've got created for the Battle of Endor. So climb aboard, strap in, and let's get going. Alrighty, so here is our scout leader. He is TS-118. He is a 10-10 trooper, meaning he shoots on a D10, he rolls close combat on a D10. His traits are leader, cool-headed, lightning fast, lucky, and has the crew trait of tactical. He is carrying the EC-17 holdout blaster and carries a combat knife. So if you remember from Han's crew, the combat knife allowed him to be able to win ties versus opponents with no close combat weapons. So it's kind of handy to have that way. He's the leader, of course, does give the +1 to recover, shaken or wounded, any model within 12 inches. Cool-headed is +1 to all shaken recovery rolls. Lightning fast gives him the ability to make a hard task roll if shot at. If he's successful, the shooter misses. And then lucky allows him to reroll any one die roll once per turn. And then tactical allows him to have one of the regulars with a specialist. So we're going to have 2 specialists on this team also. So, you know, pretty much standard leader there, very similar to Han Solo. In fact, identical to Han Solo except for the combat knife and the type of blaster he's carrying. But, you know, that EC-17 holdout blaster is this short range 6, long range 12. It is a blaster, so it takes the trait of inaccurate and a +1 to wound. And what the inaccurate does is it's a -1 to user's shoot roll, but does get that extra +1 to any wound rolls. So it's pretty nasty when you do hit. It's just a little harder to hit because it's not as accurate. TS-920 is our next scout trooper. I've got a little bit more color on him. I've used actually used a pretty heavy coat of apothecary white contrast paints with him. Kind of give him a dingier look, like he's been out in the field a little dirtier. I like the effect. It looks really good on the table, and that's really what's important, is when you're, you know, 3 feet out, looking at the table, if it looks good. And I think he does. He looks pretty snazzy. TS-920 is a standard model with a 10-10 shoot in close combat. He's got loads of ammo and is observant. He also carries the EC-17 holdout blaster and a combat knife. He is one of the 2 specialists on this team. And in the situation with loads of ammo, gives you reloading, only takes a single action. So if he rolls a 1, then when shooting, he goes out of ammo, but he only requires a single action to reload instead of 2 full actions during a single turn. He is observant, again allowing him to spot hidden models 12 inches out instead of just the 6 inches, and he also ignores the penalty for shooting at creeping models. So I think that fits well for the scout trooper kind of motif. TS-301 is our other specialist, and he, like the others, Carries that EC-17 holdout blaster and a combat knife. Again, pretty standard black and white. Looks good at 3 feet. That's what's important. We've got him with a 10-10. Steady and observant as well. Steady gives him ignoring shock and wound penalties when shooting. So pretty handy there. And again, observant, allowing him to spot out at hidden at 12 inches and ignoring the penalty shooting at creeping models. Next, we've got TS-516. TS-516, yet again, Scout Trooper. Same, black and white motif. Except for the first specialist, the rest of the guys have not had that apothecary white put on them yet. I think I'm going to go ahead and do it to all of them. I really like the look of that. I know in the movies they're supposed to be, stark white and clean and whatnot, but I really think that adding the apothecary white contrast paint really helps quite a bit. TS-516 again is a 10-10 model. He's the medic of the team. If you remember from medic last time, if he spends an action to roll a 5+, he heals 1 wound. Again, that needs to be in base-to-base contact with the model receiving the medical care. If he does roll a 1 or lower, then that roll inflicts a wound instead of healing the wound. So there is a bit of a risk, but it's handy to have nonetheless. So, and then lastly, we've got TS-108. TS-108 is our last Scout Trooper. Again, he needs to have their apothecary white put on him as well. But again, as is, I think he looks pretty good. Again, at 3 feet is what I'm really looking at. And TS-108, he's a 10-10 model. He's loyal. He's not going to run. He will not leave the playing area while another member of the crew remains. He does carry the EC-17 holdout blaster and the combat knife. So that's the Scout Trooper crew. Not a whole lot going on with this one, but that's okay because Stormtroopers are pretty, they're meant to be cookie cutter. They're meant to be, look all the same. So not a whole lot to look into with these guys, but you know what? That's okay. I do need to add that contrast apothecary white to, I think, kind of dingy them up a little bit, look like they've been in combat. But other than that, I think they turned out real well. I like them. So be on the lookout for our next video coming out on next Monday. We're going to bounce back to the Rebels and see what's what. Until next time, see you on the flip side.